All right, back with some more programming. And I decided that I want to put enum functions in a separate file, which I'm simply going to call probably just enum.h. Include that here. And I kind of want to also add a namespace to this. Well, you know what? Never mind the fucking namespace thing. I can't make it work, and I don't feel like figuring out what the issue is. So the alternative to the whole namespace thing is actually pretty simple. It's just something like this. The reason this is kind of worse than using a namespace is because namespace you can do stuff like inc or using namespace, but arguably not that big a deal. What is this bullshit, dude? It's undefined. Do I need to include it like multiple times? Okay, apparently I have to. I'm kind of glad that it gets serialized as a number, because then like I can just change the names and it doesn't actually matter for the serialization at all. Good. Right, so what I'm going to do next is work on the battle system. Oh yeah, and I need to create another loop. In my other game, I try to create like one function that would like catch all hotkey inputs. That was like a really bad idea, because then it's like, oh, are we in like editor mode, or are we in the menu, or are we in the game, or are we in specific, what is the context? And what ends up happening is that you need to put like a lot of if this, then these hotkeys apply, if this, then the other hotkeys apply, and it ends up being really awkward. So I'd rather have separate. Yeah, I'd rather have separate functions, just like separate functions called differently for each like different game state, basically. So here's the menu loop. It's just this right here. Actually, it's this whole thing. So what I want to do here is this is going to be something like menu, and then active menu, and then none. Something like this is what I want. This then sets active menu to none, like that. And then the menu loop knows to terminate, essentially. Okay, so it took me a while to figure out this bug, but it turns out that you have to call run for the for handle events, for the on event thing to trigger. So me just having put like just a boolean here in this while loop without run actually breaks the whole thing. It took me a while to figure that out, but it's working fine now. The other thing too is that I decided to add an extra value here to menu structures to indicate whether or not it's active, which makes sure that I can just call like, you know, menu structures active is false. And I had before I had like default menu, and I was putting the default menu to none, or active menu is what it was. And I was checking against that, but then when it comes to draw menu and the active menu is like none, it actually breaks. It breaks the function, and it's a little bit better to, I think, to just have a value right here, to just have a boolean to turn it off. Right. So now I was going to do the frame clock, or the in-game frame rate. So let's add another value here. I actually want to be like a little careful with which values I add where. For example, top are going to be values that are going to get serialized. So right now we're going to add for now we're going to put this to 60. Actually, instead of like max frame rate, let's do something else. Let's do minimum frame interval. Okay. So look at that. It wasn't in the name. Apparently. Apparently clocks per second is not in the namespace. It's just there. It's just there. So now I want to draw this text to the screen. And I'm actually going to put that in the draw menu thing. Hold on. Menu. Yeah, I defined string to wchar right here, but it is static. So what I can do is like that. Right, and the other thing is font. How do I get the font here? Font is device, get built-in font. Okay. What an awful line right here. Look at that. All right, device underscore. Any other errors it's gonna give me? Okay, but I don't see the text, and it's probably because the text is white. I define a color right here. Let's do like this. It's blue. It's gonna be blue. It's gonna be hideous, but it doesn't matter. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Let's try like a different position. 100 by 100. About top left, and then bottom right is like 200 by 200. Dude, the fact that rects in irrlicht are top left and bottom right instead of top left and like width and size is going to take a lot of getting used to. And the text is not showing up, so we're going to do a debug on this line right here. It should stop there right away unless I accidentally close the window, which I might have. And the text is, it's an array. Yeah, I know it's an array, but 48, 0. I guess that's fine. Okay, I mean, yeah, that looks fine. Oh, let's do something else. Let's actually turn off rendering of the menu structure. Let's try that. Background is a different color, but I still don't see the text. Maybe one of these is alpha. I wonder which one is though, because I actually normally the last value of color is alpha, but I don't understand why it takes a rect for position when you can't like change the size or anything. So position should just be one value. Okay, there it is. Now it's working. So there's white now. So let's turn a random one to 0 and see which color it becomes. Yeah, so I guess the first value was alpha or something. I don't know. I don't know. It's blue. Yeah, I guess this is blue-green. Let's turn this back on. Okay, yeah, now it's working. So let's do 0, 0, and see where it ends up. I think what I just remembered. Isn't there an option for this? I think there's like an option for centering. No. Okay, but it clearly is centered though. Let's do like 2020. I kind of don't like how small the text is, but I can't change that either because this is irrlicht doesn't have support for TTF, which is True Type Font. Which is kind of stupid because that means that the fonts are just like images, basically, like BMP, I think it was. So a bitmap. But that means you can change like the size of the text. You can't really do anything with it. Okay, so this is fine. But, oh, you know what? I think I set the minimum too high. I think that's it. Yeah. 6. This is more close to 16. There we go. Now it's running around 60. All right. Okay, that works. So that's sort of this whole section, I think. The whole menu thing, the whole serialization thing is kind of finalized. I just need to add minimum frame interval to this. Alright, so I added it to both. Should be working now, and I'll continue with another thing at a later date.